"You have no right to judge me," she screamed, her finger pointed squarely at Judge Caprio. The courtroom froze. Every eye fixed on the woman as her voice echoed off the wooden walls. The bailiff stepped forward, but Judge Caprio raised a calm hand, almost too calm, and leaned into the microphone. His eyes never left hers. "Ma'am," he said softly, "I've been judging people for over 30 years, but today, I'm not going to judge you." Her arm dropped. Confusion replaced her rage. The courtroom held its breath. It was a Tuesday morning in Providence, Rhode Island. The municipal courtroom buzzed with the routine: traffic violations, parking tickets, small claims. Judge Caprio had seen it all in 32 years on the bench. But this day would be different. At 10:47 a.m., the doors slammed open. A woman in her mid-40s marched down the center aisle. Heels clicked sharply against the marble floor. Her face was red, jaw clenched, papers crushed in her fist. "I'm not waiting for anything," she snapped, and the courtroom gasped. Judge Caprio looked up, calm and observant. "Ma'am," he said gently, "what seems to be the problem?" The question threw her off. She expected a fight, a lecture, someone to silence her. Instead, she was being heard. "My car was towed 3 times this year," she said, voice cracking. "Each time, I paid hundreds of dollars just to get it back. Do you know what that does to someone working 2 jobs just to survive?" Caprio nodded slowly. "I can imagine it's incredibly frustrating." "Frustrating?" she shouted, slamming her papers onto the desk. "I lost my second job because I couldn't get to work. I lost my apartment because I couldn't pay rent. And now you're telling me I owe another $500 for a parking ticket I never even received." The courtroom went still, absorbing her story. Judge Caprio picked up her file and scanned the pages silently. He looked at her again. "Ms. Rodriguez," he said, using her name, "I see here you received 4 parking violations over the past 18 months. Correct?" I didn't get half of these," she replied, voice cracking. "And I see your address changed 3 times during this period," he continued. "Yes," she admitted, anger flickering into exhaustion. "I had to move because of financial difficulties, because of everything. My husband died 2 years ago, cancer, no insurance, medical bills destroyed us. Then I lost the house, then my job, then my car kept getting towed." Her voice broke, her hand went to her mouth. Tears appeared in her eyes for the first time. The courtroom was utterly silent, not uncomfortable silence, but a profound stillness, as if everyone was holding their breath. Judge Caprio leaned back, taking a deep breath. His voice softened. "Ms. Rodriguez, I want you to look around this courtroom." She wiped her eyes and scanned the room. People of every age and background were seated, young and old, wealthy and working class, in suits and work uniforms. "Do you know what every single one of these people has in common?" Caprio asked. She shook her head. "They're all fighting something. Some small, some enormous. But they're here, facing it, trying to get through. You are not alone. And yelling at me? I understand. I'm not angry. I've been yelled at by people far angrier than you." A few nervous laughs rippled through the room. "This courtroom is not your enemy. I am not your enemy. The law is not designed to destroy you. It exists to create order in a chaotic world." The woman blinked, stunned. The tension lifted slightly. The courtroom gasped, not at anger, but at the humanity in his words. What happened next would cement exactly why Judge Caprio was celebrated worldwide: his ability to see beyond anger, beyond frustration, to the human story underneath. He didn't just judge cases, he understood lives. Judge Caprio picked up her file again, methodically reading through each violation. "First ticket," he began. "January 15th, street cleaning violation. Were you aware of the street cleaning schedule?" I didn't know," she admitted. "I had just moved to that area." "Dismissed." Her eyes widened. "What?" "Second ticket," he continued. "March 22nd. Expired meter. How long were you over?" 7 minutes. "I was picking up medication from the pharmacy." "Dismissed." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The woman's mouth hung open. "Third ticket, June 8th, parked in a no parking zone." "What were the circumstances?" "There was an emergency. My neighbor's daughter was having an asthma attack. I pulled over to call 911. I didn't see the sign." "Dismissed." Tears streamed down her face, not anger, but relief, disbelief, release. "Fourth ticket, September 3rd, failure to display registration sticker." "Was your registration actually expired?" "No. I renewed online, but the sticker hadn't arrived. I have the receipt in my glove compartment." Caprio turned to the prosecutor. "Do we have a record of this?" "Yes, Your Honor. Registration was current at the time of violation." "Dismissed." He closed the file. All tickets dismissed. Total balance owed, 0. She collapsed, not physically, but emotionally. All the rage, frustration, and hopelessness she'd been holding dissolved. I don't understand, she whispered. Why would you do this? After how I spoke to you? Caprio smiled warmly, the kind of smile a grandfather gives when witnessing a child's first steps. Ms. Rodriguez, do you know why I became a judge? She shook her head. I grew up in this city. My father was an immigrant. He worked 18-hour days just to put food on our table. I watched him treated like a criminal because of his accent. I watched him cheated by landlords, employers, by a system that didn't care about him. I became a judge because I wanted to be different. I wanted to be someone who listens, who sees the human being, not just the case number. He gestured to the papers on his desk. These tickets? Just paper. But you? You're a human being who has survived more than most people could bear, and you're still here. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. The courtroom sat enraptured, hanging on every word. Caprio's tone softened further. Now, I need to talk about something else. Ms. Rodriguez tensed. What? I dismissed your tickets, but I cannot dismiss how you came into my courtroom today. The room quieted. She braced herself. You came in angry, hostile, disrespectful. I know. I'm sorry, she whispered. Let me finish, he said gently. You acted that way because you expected to be treated poorly. Ignored. Dismissed. Am I right? She nodded, tears flowing freely. And that breaks my heart, Caprio continued. Because it means the system has failed you. Not just with these tickets, but in every way. It failed you so many times that you stopped believing anyone in authority could help. He leaned forward, voice almost fatherly. Remember this day not because I dismissed your tickets, but because there are still people in this world who care, who listen, who see you. The courtroom erupted, not in chaos, but in spontaneous, heartfelt applause. Ms. Rodriguez stood transformed. Rage replaced by gratitude. She tried to speak, but words failed her. One more thing, Caprio added as the applause died down. I have resources for you. Legal aid, housing assistance, job placement programs. Will you take them? Yes, thank you, she whispered. And next time you struggle, he added, softly but firmly, don't wait until you're this angry to ask for help. There are people who want to help you. Let them. As the bailiff guided her to the clerk's desk, she turned once more. Judge Caprio gave a small nod. She mouthed, thank you, and disappeared through the side door. The courtroom slowly returned to its routine, but the air had changed. Everyone who witnessed that exchange carried a reminder. Justice isn't just about enforcing the law, it's about seeing the humanity in every person who stands before you. During a break, a young law student approached Caprio. Your Honor, may I ask you a question? Of course, he said. How do you stay so calm when someone yells at you like that? Caprio leaned back, thoughtful. When I was a young lawyer, a mentor told me something I never forgot. Angry people aren't really angry at you. They're angry at everything that happened before they met you. Your job isn't to match their anger, it's to be the person who finally listens. The student nodded, furiously taking notes. And that woman today, Caprio said, his eyes softening, she reminded us all why we do this work. She wasn't angry at me, Judge Caprio said later, reflecting on that day. She was angry at a husband who died too young, at medical bills that bankrupted her family, at a system that kept knocking her down every time she tried to get back up. I just happened to be the face in front of her when she finally broke. But how did you know dismissing the tickets was the right thing to do? The law student had asked him. Caprio smiled. The law gives judges discretion for a reason. Justice isn't about following rules blindly. It's about understanding context. Every case has a story behind it. My job is to find that story. Years later, that same student would become a judge herself, and she would credit that conversation as the moment that shaped her entire career. But the story of Ms. Rodriguez didn't end in the courtroom that day. 6 months later, a letter arrived at Judge Caprio's office. Handwritten on simple lined paper, careful and deliberate asterisk, Dear Judge Caprio, you probably don't remember me. I'm the woman who yelled at you in your courtroom last spring, the one with the parking tickets and terrible attitude. I wanted to write to tell you what happened after that day. I took the information your clerk gave me. I connected with a job placement program. Last month, I started a new job at a medical billing company. It's ironic, I know. The thing that destroyed my life is now helping me rebuild it. I also found a support group for people who lost spouses to cancer. I didn't think I needed it. I was wrong, but the real reason I'm writing is this: I'm a different person now. Not because my circumstances changed, but because you treated me like a human being when I didn't even treat myself like one. You could have had me arrested. You could have made an example of me. Instead, you made me believe kindness still exists, that justice isn't just a word. You saved more than my tickets that day. You saved my faith in people. With gratitude, Maria Rodriguez. Judge Caprio read the letter 3 times. Then he placed it in a folder he kept in his desk, a folder filled with hundreds of letters from people whose lives had crossed his courtroom. This is why Judge Frank Caprio isn't just a judge. He's a reminder that power doesn't have to corrupt, authority doesn't have to be cold, and justice can have a heart. A week later, Maria returned, not as a defendant, but as a visitor. She sat quietly in the gallery, learning, watching. Caprio noticed her, nodded. She nodded back. No words were needed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is simply see them. Truly see them. Judge Caprio had spent his career doing exactly that. 3 years later, another moment would prove the ripple effect of his compassion. He received an elegant invitation, cream-colored paper with gold lettering. Maria Rodriguez was graduating from a paralegal program at the local community college. The same woman who had once stormed into his courtroom, yelling, hostile, hopeless, was now dedicating her life to the law. On graduation day, the auditorium was packed. Judge Caprio sat quietly in the 3rd row, not in robes, just a witness to something remarkable. When Maria's name was called, she walked across the stage with tears in her eyes, tears of triumph. She paused at the podium, looked directly at him, and said, I wouldn't be standing here without you. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. The audience erupted in applause. After the ceremony, she approached him, diploma in hand. I have a job offer at a legal aid clinic downtown, she said. They help people who can't afford lawyers. People like me. Caprio's eyes glistened. That's wonderful, Maria. I want to help people the way you're going to help them. I want to listen. Really listen. To make sure no one ever feels invisible the way you did. In that moment, Judge Caprio understood something profound. Justice isn't only what happens in the courtroom. It's the ripple effect, the lives that change because someone cared enough to see the human behind the case number. That day, he had dismissed 4 parking tickets. But what he had really done was plant a seed, and it had grown into something far greater than he ever imagined. Today, Maria Rodriguez works at that legal aid clinic, helping single mothers navigate the court system. She tells every client the same thing: don't give up. There are good people out there who will listen. And when they ask her how she knows, she tells them the story of the angriest day of her life and the judge who changed everything with a few simple words. Judge Frank Caprio is now in his 80s. He still listens. He still sees the human being behind every case number. And every now and then, when a particularly angry defendant storms into his courtroom, he smiles, knowing that sometimes the angriest people are the ones who need kindness the most. This is the true power of leadership, not forcing obedience, not punishing, but seeing potential when no one else can and giving someone a reason to believe again. That is Judge Frank Caprio's legacy, and now, you've witnessed it too. Remember this story. Remember that behind every outburst is a person fighting battles you can't see. And remember, a single act of genuine kindness can echo through generations. That's not just justice, that's humanity at its finest.